Hello, Scott. Thank you for taking the time to speak to me. I had a conversation with you at the start of the season. We're now beyond the halfway point, so it's a bit more of a catch up to where we are right now. After seven losses in a row, was that the most difficult period for your time at Burnley in the hot seat?
I think it was. I think that's fair to say, Adam. Yeah, I think that was a real tough moment for us. I think that was, let's say, tough for me, of course, but I think mainly my focus was on the team and the group really at that point, and certainly going into that Brighton game where I thought it was probably our worst performance of the season. Really, we lacked a real belief. This is a young team what are experiencing certain things or new things, and that being that real adversity and them tough moments, and the run we was on was one which obviously there was a constant challenge there in terms of morale and mindset and having to understand where the players were. So yeah, there was a tough moment there, mainly being that yeah, the team and where they sat and how they were feeling things, and of course it was a tough time.
But were you afraid of getting cut adrift in the bottom three, that the points gap would be too insurmountable for you and the club?
Yeah, I'm one that never really focuses on, as mad as it sounds, the points tallies, how far we are, what other teams are doing. You know, at the start of this season, you have a real understanding, like last year, how many points you're going to need to accumulate to get automatic promotion last year. We all know roughly what that would be. How many points we need to accumulate this year to give ourselves a fighting chance of staying in the division. So, of course, you don't want to be cut adrift, and you always want to be in touching distance because you don't want the team to lose that belief that they can get there. Really, my focus and my mantra mainly in this group is we focus on ourselves. Let's pick up points. Let's be the best version of ourselves constantly to pick up as enough points as what we need to do. Really, and that's maintained, and that will constantly maintain. Really.
How do you keep the mood positive around the club during this spell?
Well, they're the challenges, really. They're the biggest challenges, and they were the challenges that I knew we'd face this year. And that's not me being pessimistic in any way or negative in any way. The challenge was clearly there. Coming up from the Championship last year, where you're a team that only lose two football matches, you're a team that accumulate 100 points and win most weeks. Coming into this division, where the facts are that was always never going to be the case. And for me, at the start of this season, I knew there would be a constant balance and a constant understanding of what we need to be, and that consistency really in my communication with us has been there really. So how you do that, of course, Adam, there's challenges, and of course it's easier said than done sometimes. You go and lose seven on the bounce, trying to keep that positive mindset and trying to keep that voice being my voice, a strong one that's believable, while also being hugely critical when we need to be, is a constant challenge really. So yeah, I've been hugely impressed with us coming out of the back of that run. At that moment we was in a dark place, and it was a very difficult moment for us. And coming out the back of Brighton, where the reaction I've got from the group, the reaction that this group have gone to in terms of the positive results we've picked up after that, have been full credit to them really.
But since then, it's three consecutive draws against United, Liverpool, and Spurs, all teams that beat you early this season. Do you feel the club have turned a corner?
Well, I think we've definitely turned in terms of improving, because like you said, we faced them three teams have got no points out of them at the beginning of this season, and we've put in really good performances and managed to get 3 points. Now, in real isolation, you look at them 3 points and not in our predicament at this present moment in time, they're huge points. Of course, where we currently sit, we need to get wins. So there's been huge positives in the last three games. The last game was disappointing when you're 2-1 up and you're searching for that win, and you can see that it's nearly there to concede like we did. But for sure, I feel that we've definitely improved. A young group that have improved. A young group that at the start of this season, for the first 18 odd games or whatever it was, at times were learning on the job. At times we're experiencing things in this Premier League that was new to them, and that takes time sometimes. We haven't got time, of course, and we need to try and narrow that gap as quick as we can. I feel that the players are starting to have an understanding of what the Premier League demands and what it needs to bring really for us to be competitive and get results.
If we expand it further to the last 7 games, excluding the FA Cup victory, it's 5 draws in that period, but you haven't tasted victory since October. And I saw a statistic earlier today. I was preparing for another game. I'm hosting a Liverpool match. They rank second in terms of big chances created when they're trailing in matches. Burnley rank first. It shows that you're creating the opportunities, just not taking them.
Totally, Adam. I totally agree. And this year for me, the, the finest of margins as we've been on the end of, and we've been on the wrong side of them. And that's not me sitting here making an excuse. It's just a cold, hard reality. The beginning of the season, a penalty in the last dying seconds against Liverpool when there was a point there. The last dying seconds of Man United when there's a point there. Other games, what we've been narrowly close to, Brentford away, we get back into the game at 1-1, concede straight away. And then on the flip side is these chances that at times we've created. I think of Everton at home. We create numerous big chances we've not managed to put away. Now, these are the fine margins, and certainly that bit of quality in them final stages what you need to get yourself into that position that we've just fallen a little bit short at times of, and there's no denying that.
I want to discuss a few individuals as well, starting with Jaden Anthony. How impressed have you been with his adaptation to the Premier League? He's your joint top scorer so far this campaign, on loan with you in the Championship last season and now in the top flight.
Totally agree. Yeah. Totally agree. I think he started the season incredibly well, brings massive quality, and he was exceptional for us. There's definitely no denying he had a bit of a dip in form, but feel like over the last three games we're seeing the version we see at the beginning of this season, really. So someone who's got huge quality, and we've seen that probably in the Championship, and I think he's took that step now in the Premier League where over the course of this first part of this season has shown his quality really, and his goals suggest that as well. Someone who can make the difference for us, and I've been hugely impressed with him.
What about another player? Someone who I think you've probably known the longest in the squad because you coached him when he was in the Spurs Academy, Marcus Edwards. It's the first time you've given him consecutive starts in the Premier League. What about his adaptation?
I think his growth's been massive, for sure. Someone, like you said, I was coaching Marcus when he was probably 10, 11. Someone I have vast experience with, absolute undoubted ability and quality. And I think it's fair to say Marcus has done remarkably well this year, not just in terms of what you're seeing in terms of the form you're seeing him in now, but what he's had to go through this year, really. And that has been partly down to my decisions at times where I've not selected him, or certain moments have been a bit slower for him. But fair play to him. When he's got his opportunity, he's grabbed it with both hands, stayed very consistent in what he does. And like you said, has give us probably a different dynamic as well at times. So yeah, I've been hugely impressed with Marcus as well. Long may that continue, really.
What about you yourself as a manager? It just feels like yesterday you were out there on the pitch as a player with your shirt tucked in, always looking dapper, always impeccably dressed. You know it's true. I've spoken to you when you started your journey as a manager, and here we are. How have you grown as the man in the dugout?
But yeah, I think I'm someone who constantly wants to learn and educate myself, and trying to learn constantly on a daily basis in terms of improving myself as a coach, really. Look, I've had a pretty whirlwind coaching career. I've been a manager now for 4 full seasons, or 5 full seasons it is. And at 45 years of age, I've had huge success in terms of at Championship level, getting 3 teams promoted, 3 different teams promoted, and managing them squads and managing different personalities. I've obviously had the season in the Premier League where there was a blob on that where I had not success, but I think I'm a better version of myself than what I was, and I think I've done remarkably well, to be quite honest with you, at 45 years of age, to be where I am, to be doing what I am. I'm blessed in that sense, and so yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Always want more, Adam, of course, and always want to improve more, but I'm pretty pleased with the way things are going.
One last question, which I didn't submit into the prep because the news broke after I submitted it, but the signing of James Ward-Prowse on loan. Now, I have just seen an interview with Anthony Gordon, and he talked about the difference between playing in Europe and playing in England, the reliance on set pieces and the physicality. And we all know how good James Ward-Prowse is on set pieces. So is he the key, based on what we were talking about earlier, turning some of those draws into wins?
Hopefully, yeah. And look, I'm really kind of. I think James, in terms of set plays, he's world class, and I think we've seen that over the course of his career. I think he gives us much more than that as well. But for sure, he gives us that added bit more in terms of now a specialist in them areas. Really, he brings a wealth of experience, which is key for us. We haven't got time now. We've got 15 games left. I haven't got time to develop at this present moment in time. Develop individuals. We need players what are ready made and come into this environment where we're in, this situation we're in, and go and tackle it hands on and have an understanding of what's needed. And James certainly will have that, really. So looking forward to seeing him helping us, and looking forward to seeing him hopefully curl one in from the edge of the box.
Okay, Scott, thank you very much for your time. All the best for the match against Sunderland, and then after that, West Ham. Speak to you soon.
Thank you, Adam.